We're back, Boss Lady Live, 4th season. Can you believe it? My name is Sandra Samuel, CEO of Totally Male, and we'll be back Monday, October 25th at 8 p.m. sharp at youtube.com/The Totally Male. See you then.
Good evening, everyone. We are indeed back. I hope you missed me. We have been out for September and quite a bit of October. I should have been back from the 1st of October, but I got so busy. So I do apologize for my guests who have been asking, my viewers who have been asking, sorry, where are you? Where are you? Aren't you coming back? Aren't you coming back? We miss our talks. We miss our talks. What is happening? So this evening, hi Terry, Terry Ann, good evening. This evening, it's I think it's the last. Is it the last Monday, or we have another Monday? We have it's our last Monday of October. Yes, because I think October ends on a Sunday this year.
Right.
We are focusing on Breast Cancer Month, as you know, as most of my friends know, and my Facebookers and my Instagrammers and my YouTubers know that I am a breast cancer survivor, and you know I have to do a program on surviving, thriving after breast cancer every breast cancer month, because it is important. We need to get the word out. We need to talk about the different scenarios of persons with breast cancer. We also need to speak about early detection is key. Have you done your mammogram yet? Are you doing your self-breast examination? Have you checked out, if there's anybody in your family who has breast cancer? These things are very important for us women. And the thing is, it doesn't discriminate. Black, white, Indian, chief, young, old, tall, slim, fat, it doesn't really matter. So what we really want to talk about is early detection, checking yourself, checking your bodies. But this evening in particular, it is my pleasure to share screen with, now my new friend. Her name is Tara Montaque. She has a very unique experience in that she discovered breast cancer during pregnancy. I know that I can't wait to get into her story, because I know as a youngster, she was diagnosed at age 29. So folks, this I'm sure will be a riveting evening, like all my other evenings with all my special guests. I'm so happy to be back. I have a nice lineup for you with some very interesting and educated, because all my guests are experts in one way or another in their area, whether they're surviving something, so it's their personal story. So no, there is not a book story, it's a personal story, or they studied work in the field or whatever it is that we're talking about. This platform is to have conversations, real conversations about things that matter, things that are really not being talked about in the general public. We don't do sus, we don't do the light stuff. We do the very important, life-changing conversations, things you want to know, things you need to know, things you must know, trying to uplift in terms of life, trying to bring happiness, peace, joy. We speak about spirituality, we speak about relationships, we speak about job selection, we speak about health and wellness. We speak about various different topics, but most importantly, it at the end of the day, you must walk away with information that can help you. It is also an interactive platform in that we allow you to ask our guests. You can type in your questions. We allow you to ask our guests questions that of clearly they are experts, so clearly they can answer as best as possible. So this evening, let me introduce my guest. She is Tara Montaque, and she calls herself a warrior mom. She's actually a nurse by profession, as I had read, but she is a you are a med rep, right?
Yeah.
Right, you're a med rep,
Yeah.
and right. So she will just introduce herself further and just tell us a little bit more about herself before we go into her story and start asking questions. Welcome, Tara, to Boss Lady Live.
Thank you for having me, and good evening to all your viewers. It is a pleasure to be here with you. So, a little bit about Tara before cancer came and redefined my life. As you would have mentioned, I am a registered nurse by profession. I hail from the parish of Manchester with some roots in St. Elizabeth. So I went to high school in Mandeville, Bishop Gibson High School for girls. And then I went on to NCU and did my Bachelor of Science in Nursing there. I didn't spend too long in nursing, however, just about 14 months, and then I transitioned into the sales and marketing area of the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm also a realtor alongside my husband. We're building our family business. And pretty much, as I mentioned, my husband, I'm married and I have two lovely boys. And at the age of 29, just as, newly married, one baby down, and just entering into the next phase of family life, cancer came. And, I just had to deal with it. So,
How did you find it?
so I woke up one morning and luckily I was wearing a light colored bralette and there was a spot on it. And when I noticed it, I was concerned. So I proceeded to milk in the breast to see exactly if it was coming from the breast. It it did come from the breast. So I called my OBGYN and I told him, and he said, okay, let's do an ultrasound. You're too young, they're not going to allow you to do a mammogram, but let's do the ultrasound. So
And you have no one in your family that it could have even dawned on you that this could be
right,
cancer.
right,
You had no. Okay.
right. So no close relative. So I did the ultrasound, and that ultrasound was actually spotless. So by this, my first baby was about 18 months shy of, and I had recently finished breastfeeding him. So the consideration was kind of maybe it's still breast milk. So with that spotless ultrasound report, I continued and I had it in the back of my head, but I continued along with life. Then in November of same
But
year, so
that was what month?
this was April, and this
Oh,
is 2019.
yes.
All
So
right, so
you also
mhm,
you did the ultrasound and it came back.
clean, axilla,
Wow.
everything. It was spotless. So, and this was April of 2019. So I continued on with life, etc. I remember even traveling that year. We had a fantastic time and all of that. Anyway, this now was November of said year. I woke up again, luckily wearing a light color t-shirt, and it was more. And I was like, I called Dr. Abrams and I'm like, Doc, whatever it is, we're checking it out. And he said, I agree with you. I'm going to refer you to the surgeon. And he did. And it was in that same week. So like I'm going to the surgeon on the Thursday. I found out I'm pregnant the Wednesday.
Wow.
So I went to the surgeon nonetheless, and he said to me, Dr. Abrams too said, your pregnancy will not change our course of action. And I agreed with them. However, because of the nature, based on the surgeon's assessment, he was saying, for your biopsy, you're going to have to go under general anesthesia because we're going to have to remove the duct. It seems as if you have a papilloma growing in the duct. So we need to remove that bad duct, and that's going to be an actual surgery. So I was like, okay. But he said, because you're in your first trimester, so young in the pregnancy, I would say let us wait until January of the new year when you get into your second trimester, because baby can go die in the surgery. So I was like, and honestly, Sandra, cancer was not in anybody's mind.
Right.
As I said, I wasn't checking any of the boxes. So that little delay was kind of like, I don't think it's a good idea. Nobody had that, right? Nobody had that thought. So I did the surgery in January 18th to be exact. And it was an in and out procedure. And then February 22nd, I got that report that it was stage 0 at the time, breast cancer, ductile carcinoma in situ, DCIS. And, I remember when the doctor said it to me, like last night I was watching you and your panelists, and I remember Tara Playfair
Yes.
was saying, she knows that they're talking, but it was like, okay, but I had the same exact reaction.
I had the same exact.
So I was looking at him. I know that he's talking, and the sun was just going around like this, and I was not processing anything. And I think he realized what was happening, and he said to me, "You know what? Just a sec. What did that mean?
Yeah, but what are these glasses over here?
Sorry, I'm a mom in real life.
Yeah.
So he said to me, go home, here's the report, and we can talk about it. All right, we can talk about it. So I took the report, and I remember my husband came with me too for the news. And when we went outside in the car, we were just silent, like
Stunned.
silent. And hold on just a sec. Sorry about that. So, yeah, man, I was just in the car and we were looking at each other like, oh my God. And then I said to him, at least it's stage 0. So let's just hurry up and do this mastectomy, because I registered that when doc said the cure for this type of staging is a straight mastectomy. Let's just hurry up and get it over with. And I was like, let's just do that and get on. And so like within 2 weeks of all of that, I did the surgery. But lo and behold, when the pathology report came back from the mastectomy, it had gone to 2 nodes. So I was automatically moved up to stage 2. So that's when the whirlwind started now. Do you need chemotherapy? Can you do chemotherapy while pregnant? This, that, and all of that. What happened in my case though is that the by the time I got back all the results and so on, receptor types and so, I was actually in my 3rd trimester, and chemotherapy was not recommended for me then. So what my oncologist did was to recommend that the gynae would fast track my delivery so I could heal and start chemo as soon as possible, and that's what happened.
So so they had to take the baby at a
Pretty
particular
much.
at
But
what stage?
at 38 weeks, which is still considered full term and all of that. So we had no issues. Delivery was smooth sailing. and he was born good weight and healthy and all of that. So right after that, now I went into staging, and then started the treatment. So I did 8 rounds of chemo, and after chemo, then radiation, and it was just a whirlwind.
Boy, well, for those of you out there who don't know, most breast cancers are estrogen driven.
Right.
So it's for Tara, it's not unique that persons find out that they have breast cancer before, during
Pregnancy.
during pregnancy or after pregnancy. Sometimes it somehow that's when they discover it. Maybe they were seeing signs and symptoms and just ignored it. But I have counseled persons who found it whilst pregnant, and it's the similar situation like you. Now you had at that time you were a mother of one. You're
Right.
gonna have what kind of thoughts went through your mind?
The only time I would break down and cry is when I look at the toddler at the time, um, and just imagine what his life would be like without me. So I had the thoughts like, oh my God, I'm going to die and leave them.
Mhm.
As plain as that. That was it for me. And it would just break me, it would eat me up. But quickly, I accepted. And I think that's the difference between myself and other persons going through it. In that grieving process, I did not stay in the anger and the denial for too long.
Absolutely.
Like within a matter of days, I'm like, I have to live for them. And I
Yeah.
cannot afford to stress the baby in utero either, because that's a whole nother issue. High blood pressure and all of that. So I was like, I have to get myself together, and I have to do it based on the studies, based on what the doctors are telling me. The outcome won't be bad. So just trust the process and go through with it. And I never question them. Whatever they bring to me, you need this amount of chemo, I do it. You need radiation. There was a bit of whether or not I need radiation and difference in opinion. I'm like, my oncologist was like, Tara, we have to overkill on you because you're young. You are young, and young patients have to be treated aggressively. And I got my opinions, and I just moved straight into it. I was not about natural remedy, and I'm not knocking anyone who believes in that, but there were persons who had put that to me, and quite frankly, I had to tell them, you have to respect my decision. It's my health, and I want to live for my children. And I actually happen to know of more cases where chemotherapy and the traditional way of treating breast cancer, the outcome is a lot better than persons who went solely into natural remedy. So I said, I'll take my chances with chemo. And boy, was chemo rough. I'm the first one to tell you it's awful, but it is trying to kill what is trying to kill you. So
Right.
it's not light, it's not lightweight. It's going to come at you heavy, and it's going to tear you down. But at the end of the day, you stand a better chance.
Absolutely. The thing, what I like to speak to people about in terms of the natural way, how I look at it. I'm not saying that the natural way doesn't work. I'm just saying that when you're diagnosed, you're going through treatment, you do not know what type of cancer you have. If it's aggressive, it's even worse. At
Right.
your age, 29, hormones raging, how I like to explain to people when they're thinking about their options is that when you eat food, for the food to process and to change your body structure and all that's a slow process. Cancer can be a fast
outrunning
process,
that. Yeah.
outrunning the ability of the food and whatever else you're taking, whether it is herbs and whatever have you. That is a slower process. So I'm saying they're not equal.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a slow moving cancer. Some people, this minute it's a pea and the next minute it's a melon. So you don't know. You don't know how your body is going to react.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is, we want to go with the tried and proven.
Exactly.
We have scientific evidence that these things work. And so that is why when I was diagnosed, and they said to me, okay, this is the size of the tumor, lumpectomy. It can do lumpectomy, but I mean, the size of my breast were not very large, and the lump was significant. So I didn't. Keeping my breast was neither here nor there to me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I said to the doctor, I want to survive. That's
Right.
what I'm working with. Tell
Right.
me what I need to do to survive. So in doing the chemotherapy, were there any um, techniques or anything that you did during chemotherapy to maintain your health? Did you continue to exercise? Did you change your diet? Did you do anything? Um, were you on any other kind of medication? Did they put you on tamoxifen? Because I know for me, they had put me on tamoxifen prior. I was 35, so they had put me on tamoxifen before I actually went and had the surgery. Did
Mm-hmm.
they put you on
So,
anything at all?
so I started the tamoxifen after chemo. So I finished chemo this year, January, and the doctor wrote me the prescription to start the tamoxifen right after.
And
So
you're expected
that
to be on that how long?
10 years, because again of the age and how
Right,
far away I am from menopause.
right.
Right.
So there. So you went through chemotherapy, you went through the radiation. What have you done differently since you have finished all your treatment? No, before I reach there, don't go there yet.
Mm-hmm.
How did your friends and your co-workers, how did that play out? Did you have a village? I know you say you have your husband, but how did you
Well,
do that balancing
certainly,
act?
if cancer has taught me anything at all, it's I have recognized the real people in my life. So my family really showed up and showed out for me, and they still are. And there are friends who just got really closer, you know. And I had to manage them though, and this is how I know the real, because there were instances when I would just update them, but I'll say to them, do not call me. I don't want to talk about it right now. Or do not ask me any questions, or do not tell me what you're seeing on Google. So from very, very early, I created 2 broadcast lists on WhatsApp, not WhatsApp groups, because I didn't want people pouring in suggestions and having discussions about my health. So I didn't do the groups. I just did broadcast list, priority 1, priority 2.
Ah,
Priority 1, I could shoot them the updates as I'm getting them, because I know these persons, I know where their mental state is at, and I know that they're not going to bombard me with questions. They're not going to call me as soon as they read the message and say, oh my God, you know. And then priority 2, no, I just kind of had to give it to them in small doses, what's going on. So that is how I handled it. But they really like to shave my head. My husband shaved me, but
ah.
and we had a
I
party.
was coming to him, down the road. Yes.
And we had a shaving party. So all my siblings, we decided I have a sister and 2 big brothers, and we decided we were going to go bald, and my husband too.
Oh,
And we just
that's
went
so
on
precious.
Zoom or one of those platforms, and we just shaved that way that night, and everybody had a bald head. But the support was real. My mom too, she never left my side. So, have baby, and she was with me from the get-go, like long before I even got to the place of delivering. I remember I did the mastectomy. So while I was pregnant, I was healing from the mastectomy and, needing help with the toddler and so on. So I I really, really learned the true value of family, from this ordeal. It has become like full force to me what family really means. And I am just in awe of how much they have been standing beside me.
So, Shireen is asking, how the treatment affect post-pregnancy, breastfeeding, and etc. Were you allowed to breastfeed, or that was no longer on the
Well, I
table?
was I was allowed. I mean, I was given the option, and at one point they were, because after delivery, I was given 4 weeks to heal or to recoil, because delivery plays a number on your body. So I was given 4 weeks to bounce back and then start chemo. And it was suggested maybe you shouldn't start breastfeeding because then you're going to be engorged and you're going to have to stop abruptly. But I wanted to breastfeed. If it was even 4 weeks of breast milk, I wanted to give him that, because I know the importance of it. And we've been through so much together. I wanted that bonding experience, so I breastfed. And God is so amazing. um because by now I would have done the mastectomy. So with one breast, I was able to exclusively breastfeed him for 3 weeks,
Wow.
just breast milk. And then in the fourth week, we introduced formula to kind of start weaning him. And yes, I had the engorgement and the hard breasts when I started the chemo. But that, we took care of that, and it was worth it, in my opinion.
Oh, that's so precious. And so, through all of that now, how did your husband manage? Because last night, I know you watched last night, and Kevin was talking about,
Yeah.
him being the caregiver of his wife. Because baby is there and then you sick,
Yeah.
how do we balance all of that? I really should be talking to him, don't it? Just
um
no talking to him. I mean, I should have invited him, but that must have been really tough on him.
I'm pretty sure, and what I love about our relationship is that we're friends,
Right.
So we're friends first. And so sometimes we try to get into each other's heads, because we shouldn't be, even if we have to be vulnerable. And no matter what your greatest fear is, I need to know what it is, because we need to talk through it. So I think that is what has helped us along the way. But he's very supportive, and helpful, handy, pretty much an all-rounder. So
Right.
he's been awesome. I honestly, I don't think I thank him enough, but he really deserves. And he doesn't like the big up and
Yes.
all of that, but
Yes.
he's a real trooper, honestly.
Awesome. What would you say has been the most difficult um, experience during the whole, between from diagnosis to having the baby, treatment? What would you say was the most um, difficult period?
The 8 rounds of chemo was not a walk in the park. It really, and I think you had asked earlier too if I was able to exercise, like how I
Yes.
managed the chemo. I could not do anything. I don't know if it's because I had gone through a pregnancy, like my body was just
Exhausted.
frayed. Yes, I could not manage it. So, and then the minute I started to feel better, then another round came. So
Is
I
you.
so it was just this high low, high low. It was really hard. Chemo really, really played a number on me. I was so happy to be finished. I celebrated, and it was just in time for my birthday. So I was
Mhm.
super excited um, to just be finished with it. But I kept saying to myself, every time I go, I am trying to kill what is trying to kill me. And I want to stay
Absolutely.
alive. So I have to do this as hard as it is. The side effect profile, oh my God. But I just had to push through it.
They, I know just through chemotherapy, well, I know from based on my experience, there were certain things that I just couldn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Did you change your diet any at all? Did you, and even after you finished treatment, have you changed your diet?
Definitely. During chemo, there no one thing used to upset my stomach. That never used to happen to me in chemo. I could eat pretty much just about anything after day 2 or so. Um, but definitely the lifestyle change as it relates to diet. I have cut out red meat completely. Like red meat used to be like a special occasion kind of thing, but not even that. I don't eat it anymore. Um,
Was that under the direction of your doctor or that was a personal choice?
Um, at first, the doctor did not recommend it, to be honest. It was kind of closer to the end, and I guess post or surveillance kind of talks that we started talking about diet and so on. But it was personal, and then a lot of persons have their opinions and make suggestions. So I just kind of went with it because I'm like, what you I won't lose if this thing is going to help me to be healthier, then I'm definitely trying it. So it was kind of like that for me. So no more red meat, no alcohol at all, not even on special occasions. I try not to. Um, those are the two main things.
That you are doing now?
Yeah.
When you look at what you had to go through, have you taken any personal decisions in terms of futuristic? Um, I know for me, like I had my bucket list and I said, okay, I was procrastinating about this, I was procrastinating about that, and I just had my bucket list and I just went down each thing. Every year I had a different plan for something else. Did you have that kind of, have you changed how you view life? And
Hmm.
are you doing anything differently than you were doing before diagnosis?
Yeah, man, definitely. So the way I look on life now is like, look here, you have one life and you have to live it. And I am fully immersed in being a mom. I absolutely love my boys, and the thing is, they're babies. So, most of my time now is just spent nurturing them and spending quality time with them. That for me gives so much joy. And yes, I never necessarily had a bucket list before, but it was kind of like a subconscious bucket list. But now, I'm talking about it more, like, yeah, I've done the west side of the world. I want to go over to the east now. I want to see new places, do new things because you work so hard. Like you have to enjoy life because cancer can come and just redefine everything for you. And I just feel like God has been so good to me and he has brought me so far. So I'm just going to enjoy and maximize on life.
Were you prepared, or should I say, financially? Because it can be extremely expensive. Did you
Trust me.
have insurance? Is this
Yes.
something that you had even considered in terms of taking out um, good health
Yes.
insurance and all of that? That was something that you were
Yeah, man,
prepared.
definitely. And this
Wow.
month, especially, I had the opportunity to talk to some young people in different settings, high school and, certain corporate places. And that's my thing to them. From your first paycheck, because that's what I did as a nurse earning chump change, I had my critical illness insurance and I had my health insurance and life insurance from my first paycheck. And I would encourage every single young person, no matter how small your salary is, this is a way that you invest in yourself without even knowing it. Because I've honestly lost count with all the surgeries and the treatments and all of that. I've lost count how much money, millions of,
How many millions? How many millions?
yeah,
You lose count,
I
yeah.
have lost count of how many millions of dollars, you know, if I didn't have insurance. So I would encourage young persons like,
Um, how did you manage? This is a question from the audience. How did you manage this during the start of the pandemic? I didn't even realize I didn't even make the
yeah,
connection.
actually, when I was in hospital doing the surgery, I think that's when we reported our first case in Jamaica.
Mhm.
I remember when that came out. To be honest, I guess perspective is everything because the pandemic was sort of a blessing for my family and I, because
Kind of slow down.
we slowed down and everybody was
Right.
home, and we just, I going through all of this because I was very private about my journey too in the initial, stage of it. I didn't share because all of this was happening, and I didn't share until the October. um because I simply felt that I needed support from another mother, and I didn't get that. So I wanted, if a Jamaican woman was to Google, I am pregnant with breast cancer, something local and relatable would come up. So I waited a couple of months, well, before I, was ready to talk about it. So the pandemic was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was home all the time, hubby home, the baby home, so we're all safe. Nobody wants to catch COVID, and
Right.
yeah. So it was okay for us. Actually, it was actually a good thing.
Plus, and you weren't under the pressure of, am I missing anything out there? Because you weren't missing anything because everybody was
Exactly.
also on lockdown.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, as a young woman,
Hmm.
I mean, you're just starting life. Your faith must have been tested.
Trust me. But
Tell us
you
a
know
little bit,
what?
tell us a little bit of how you navigate that. What
So
kind of
so one
conversations you were having with God?
So I did a lot of closet crying because I would hide from my mommy and my husband who were here during, the early days. And I would just go into the closet and bawl when I felt like I needed to let it out, or in the shower when. And I remember one of the doctors said to me, like, he just shaped my perspective. One day he wrote on like this blood form, and I saw my name, and he wrote for the diagnosis breast CA, and that just hit me like a brick. And
Mhm.
I broke down in his office because I'm like, this is real, there's no going around it. And I remember he said to me, Tara, what you are going through is, like, he was, in essence, he was saying, what you're going through, don't take it lightly.
Right.
There is so much purpose being born within you, even as you give birth to your baby. And he said, this baby that you're carrying is no ordinary baby. Because maybe if you didn't get pregnant, it would have stayed there and fester, and we would have caught it at a later stage. So, you know what? You give thanks to God for this baby that you're carrying and that you're receiving treatment. And when I left his office that afternoon, it was just a renewed, it was like a new perspective. And then one day, out of the blue, because I was doing a lot more meditation, just trying to keep calm, and I was literally guided to the Bible, and this text in Psalm which said, He broadened the path under my feet so my foot would not slip off. And that was just plain. That was like that was just a message.
Like a message.
Trust me. And because it's first I even know that in the Bible, but I was just going through it and I was led directly to that scripture. He broadened my path so my foot would not slip off. And I'm like, God, you're going to take me through this journey, and I'm going to have my baby, and I'm going to raise my children. You're going to, there is purpose in my pain. And that was it for me.
Absolutely. Shireen was saying, what's a good amount to be insured for with critical illness? I think I need an insurance company to speak about that. Said most give up to about 5 million.
And that's a good start.
I'm guessing treatment is way more. That's a good start.
Right. And if you have your health card, because even though you have the critical illness policy, once you have the health card as well, that will help to subsidize. So you won't necessarily need to, well, I guess it depends, because I've learned that you have breast cancer, you have different types of breast cancer, and some of them are way more expensive than others. So it kind of depends.
Tara, if someone had said to you prior to this that you are strong enough to manage something like this, would you have agreed with them?
So I would tell them they don't know what they're saying, and that that can't happen to me. Because prior to this diagnosis, I mean, I honestly, to be honest, part of what I was feeling initially when I received it was anger, and I felt like my body betrayed me. Why am I running up and down, going to the gym and eating, trying to eat properly, and trying to live a healthy lifestyle, and then this come happen. But lo and behold, what I didn't know is that I had a genetic mutation that was just there.
Is it the BRCA test that you did?
So I did the test that involved the BRCA as well, but mine is actually ATM. It's one of those newer type of gene that is being found that causes breast cancer, gene mutation. So I know BRCA1 and 2 are the popular ones, but mine isn't even one of those. It's called ATM.
So what does that mean for your follow-up treatment?
So what it means is that the other breasts, I would need to do a mastectomy, which I already did because I'm taking no chances.
Absolutely.
So actually,
you did a double mastectomy.
Right, but one was before, right, because I couldn't have done the 2 while pregnant. Because
so you found this out after. Yeah, you found this out after you had the okay.
Right.
That was recommended by your doctor, or you asked to do this?
Well, I was counseled prior to doing the gene test, and we played out all the scenarios, and this was a recommendation in the event. And personally too, I just did not want to. I wanted to reduce my risk of reoccurrence to minimal, so I know this was a way to go.
And did you do reconstruction, or was it not recommended?
Well, what I must say now. Initially, because I had a discussion about this recently, where I guess because I'm 29 and all of that, the doctors kind of just assumed I wanted reconstruction, so I did it. I did reconstruction.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
The normal procedure for breast cancer is quite similar to what you have been through, but I have no idea the differences in terms of when you're pregnant, apart from them delaying treatment until after you had baby. Was there any other situation that they said, okay, because you're pregnant, you have to do this instead of this?
No, it was just chemotherapy. If I had gotten back all the results while in my second trimester, I would have started at least 1 or 2 rounds of chemo and then break for delivery and then resume. But because by the time we knew receptor types and so on, I was in the third trimester. That was the only reason why I was told to just have the deliver first and then proceed.
What would you, so, all right, if you were, well, you have the platform now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to women out there who are afraid to go and have their mammograms done? They are afraid to do this, their self-breast examination because they say they don't want to find anything. They're afraid because I'm going to write that right now with my girlfriends. They're not girlfriends, girlfriend. Duh. She knows who she is. Who tells you that, they're afraid to find out. What
Mm-hmm.
would your advice to them?
There is absolutely nothing for you to be afraid of. You have to take your health seriously. And even if you get a diagnosis like ours, just know, I mean, look at Sandra. She's 22 years strong. You have no idea how excited I got when I learned that, right?
And Jennifer last night was 33 years.
33. I
Absolutely.
was telling my husband about her, and I'm like, look here, you can win it. You can win the battle. You literally
And
just,
she has had it like more than once.
wow,
Came back and she did something else and then she did that. She has done a lot. And
wow,
she's still, because she said she was a stage 4.
yes,
Persons think that they can't survive stage 4, but you can.
wow. That
But
is
as you
really
said, the
cool.
mindset,
The
the
mindset,
mindset is very important.
the
For
mind,
example, anybody who knows me know I don't waste my precious minutes with people that I don't want to spend my time with. Let's put it that way.
right?
I if it's not that I'm happy every day, but what I do, if I am upset about something, I don't live there. I don't live in the upset. I say what I'm gonna say. I might dwell on it a bit and then I move on. That I tend not to be angry. That I have done so much work on myself. I have done counseling because what I found is that things that I thought did not bother me was actually bothering me. And I didn't realize until, you have certain things that um, when it happens, you react badly and you say, why did I react so badly to that? But then you go back and you say, well, boy, maybe I didn't sort out
Right.
my connection with that situation. And I found that I was having an image challenge because I'm a very confident, I'm an extrovert, but not being married at the time
Mm-hmm.
and still in the dating scene, it takes some level of confidence for
Yes.
young people to say, okay, at what point? Because that was my only concern through
Right.
all of my breast cancer scenarios. My only challenge in terms of really, I was battling with, the whole dating scene. When do you tell someone you only have one breast or you had breast cancer? Because they can reject you because either they don't want to deal with it or they're wondering what it may look like. will they find you physically attractive? And so, in all of that, and I like to tell my young people who are still dating or even married, if persons love you, they love your spirit, they love your essence. You are not your breast, right?
Exactly.
And apart from one incident which we later sorted out, I have had no problems with with how I'm being received by the opposite sex, or having a conversation. Initially, I must admit, it was difficult, or it is difficult,
Right.
because you're afraid of rejection. And so my thing was just to get it out of the way from day one, before you fall in love, we fall in love, and then you're going to let me know who can't leave it. So
Right.
that is one of the things, and that's why I like to also interview younger persons, because they have these real challenges. I mean, you have relationship challenges already as young people, and then now to add this in the mix,
Right.
it's also an additional challenge to say, okay, at what point do you say, this is my situation? The truth is, this is your new norm. This
Right.
is your norm. This is what it is. Take it or leave it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so that is our real world, in terms of, and I consider myself young, only 57, but I'm still young, still dating. So it's still, but I mean, 22 years later, there's no challenge in having that discussion, because
Right.
I have been there, done that. I'm out there. Part of my purpose is to kind of spread the word on early detection, and part of what we are doing here is to educate those that are coming into the fold, although we don't want it to come in the fold, but it happens because it's
Right.
life,
Right.
you know. And so sharing your mommy story, because that will be somebody else's reality. Sharing my story is somebody else's reality. And I mean, to just let people know that it can happen at a very young age. When I joined Reach to Recovery, back in 2000, there was someone there who was diagnosed. She was 24 at the time when I met her, but she was diagnosed at 16. So
Wow.
so this thing can, she had taken out like the lump like twice, and it was benign. And then at 16, I think her first lump was like at 13. So these things can happen early. So although they say don't do a mammogram until 40,
Right.
that's why we want to impress upon our viewers, do your self breast examination and be very vigilant. Just like how Tara saw the leaking and she had it checked out immediately. Some persons would have seen it and made well, like Tara last night, she was saying, I know this is just a cyst, so let us just move on, kind of thing. Her situation could have ended tragically.
Yeah.
Thank God it didn't.
Hmm.
But we have to be proactive, because, as I like to say all the time, cancer is time sensitive.
Yes.
It is time sensitive. It can mean the difference between 0 to 4, because
Mhm.
you don't know what type you have, and the truth is, it can go very quickly.
Yeah.
So,
And if I could add, Sandra, I mean,
yes.
young persons, you have to advocate for yourself. Do not allow it to surprise you if you recognize a change in your body, in your breast specifically, and you go to your healthcare provider and your concerns are dismissed. Do not act surprised. Almost keep your guard up that you're going to have to get a second and a third opinion. As a healthcare professional myself, I cringe whenever I say this, but there are
Right.
so many sad stories confirming what we're saying. Your
Yes.
concerns will be dismissed some of the times. Oh, you're too young for breast cancer. Oh, it's nothing. But please be relentless, be persistent, and advocate for yourself. And you don't have to have a lump. I didn't have a lump. I had a discharge, which is, plain and obvious. But a young lady who I met on social media, she's in the States, and her symptom was just a sharp pain in her breast. That was it for her, and she just was uncomfortable, and then the pain radiated to her armpit, and it was a burning sensation in her armpit, and she was diagnosed at stage 3 after running around just to get somebody to take her seriously. So, you literally have to advocate for yourself and become body aware, because the self examinations won't make sense unless you are body aware. You have to know what your normal body feels like. So, the minute something is off, then you can say, but that wasn't there last month, or,
Right.
kind of
Which
thing.
is exactly what happened to me. And just to let the audience know who are on for the first time, when I did my mammogram, because my lump was not in my breast, my lump was in my chest wall in the 12 o'clock position.
Wow.
So if I was not aware of my body and the changes, because mine wasn't a lump either, mine was a hump, and I was working out hard at the time at the gym. So I thought it was muscle. The
Hmm.
only problem was that the other side was not the same. And so when I went and I did my mammogram, I came off the table. Doctor said you were free to go. We're clean. And I
Wow.
was, I was confused because I am sure I was positive that that was not there before. I did not feel it before because I had taken out a lump 9 years earlier, which was benign. So I constantly checked myself.
Okay.
And as we're on it, when you're doing your self-breast examination, nobody told me this before I was diagnosed with breast cancer. You also need to go under the armpit
Mm-hmm.
and check for lumps and bumps in the armpit because the nodes can be
Yes.
affected and they would be swollen, what we call wax and canal,
Common. Yeah.
right? So what you feel underneath your arm to see if there is any lump, any bump. Also around your neck area, because I had a
Oh,
node
boy.
standing also, which they removed because they wanted to ensure that there was no spread to that node because I had removed 14 nodes and 4 were positive. So
Okay.
I definitely had to do radiotherapy and chemotherapy as well. So these are some of the things you have to do. You must know your body. And
Yeah.
this goes for males as well. So that
Correct.
when there are any changes, so when doctor said, why your face look like that? And I could say to him, you know, I am sure there's a lump there. And he said to me, okay, because I'd put on my clothes and I was going through the door. And he said, all right, go back up on the table, put my hand on it, and show me where you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just went in because I was referred to get a mammogram done, and the mammogram came back negative. So when I showed him the area in the 12 o'clock position in my chest wall, he did an ultrasound this time, which showed the area of mass. And that's why I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Your belly tell you something. You
Yeah.
have to follow your follow your gut, right? As you were saying earlier. Follow your gut and don't be afraid to say, can we do further testing?
Exactly.
Can you check, you're sure? Because doctors are not gods. You have to help them, direct them where you're feeling the pain, where you're feeling the lump, if you're seeing a discharge, if you're having a chest pain, if you're having an abdominal pain, anything like if you feel any node standing up, because Nodes mean inflammation.
Yeah,
There's
there are telltale
inflammation
signs.
somewhere,
Right.
right? And so I was able to go back on the table. He did the ultrasound. He found a lump. He then ordered a needle biopsy, which confirmed the breast cancer.
Wow.
So that's why I'm saying you have to be proactive. With
Yes.
just like you have to be proactive and move quickly because it is time sensitive. Thank you so much, Terry. Terry Ann, she's reminding all breast cancer survivors the NHF card allows you to get very heavy discounts
Right.
on your medication. It is night and day, believe me.
Yeah.
Night and day, and the drugs are extremely expensive, right?
The
And
process to
everything,
get the card is not hard. I was
yes,
surprised when I went there. I was in and out in like half hour, maybe, if it took
right,
so long. It was a very seamless process.
right.
So big up the government,
Yes, we have to pick up
MOH.
the
Yeah,
government, and
because
that
there
has
it really makes a
really,
difference.
really helped. Um, turns out if lump was in chest wall, why did you do a mastectomy? Because when they went in, no, first of all, the size of the lump and the size of my breast, it didn't make sense to do a lumpectomy. Well, I understand now, based on the conversation last night, that the whole treatment protocol is now different.
Hmm.
Now that what they do now is in certain instances they do the chemotherapy first.
To
They
shrink it.
shrink the lump and try to get the lump to a manageable size. Then they can offer you a lumpectomy. Knowing me, I know myself because I don't want it in my body, none at all.
None at
I
all,
want it
right?
gone. So I know I would have still opted for the mastectomy. Not only that, what I found with the lumpectomy is that you have to really, at the time, I don't know about now, when you did a lumpectomy, you had to follow every 6 months versus every year. When I have to go in to do my tests, I have to have a come to Jesus moment. I have to have a conversation with Jesus. I have to make all kind of deals because just to go to get the tests done, it is nerve wracking.
Hmm.
Survival is wonderful, but it's not an easy road. People see me laugh every day and smile and think I really don't put breast cancer at the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
But when it's time to go and get my tests done,
Yeah, man.
which you will also go through to get that follow up every so often,
It's anxiety.
the anxiety, the stress, the weight of what if it come back. But
Yeah.
that's the only time I really think about it.
Yeah.
When I come out and everything is good and I do, because every year I have to do a mammogram, half price because only one breast. I do a chest x-ray. I do an abdominal x-ray. I do this time around I did a pelvic ultrasound. And so it's not a cheap affair without insurance. But it's also nerve-wracking because every lump, every bump, anything come up, you wonder if. But the truth is, I just train my mind to just let it happen around that time. I
Right.
don't I don't preoccupy myself outside of that, unless of course I'm feeling unwell, and then you have to go and get your checks done because you have to be proactive. But like you, I want to, I mean, first of all, going through pregnancy with that load on your mind, I don't know how you managed without counseling. Did you consider counseling any at all, or did you go for counseling?
I didn't go. My oncologist recommended it at one point. She said to me is like, when you're ready for the referral, let me know. So she didn't push it on me, but she was sure to share with me that there is somebody who she normally refers her patients to. Um, and it's not off the table. I honestly do not think therapy is off the table for me just yet. But what I did, I channeled my energy. So, as I tell you, I spent a lot of time just reasoning with God, and I also turned to gardening. Gardening became my therapy, and I just went straight into it. Like when I look at before and after pictures, so like before cancer, the way my garden was compared to now, like my plants are beautiful, and I even, diversified a bit and went into vegetables because I'm eating more of that, so might as well I
Right.
like my own callaloo and all of that good stuff. And it really, really helped. And then lo and behold, I created this page because my primary Instagram page now was getting overrun with plants every day, plants. So I said, let me create a page for it. And lo and behold, there's actually a plant community in Jamaica, like some
Yes.
real obsessed plant
Yes.
people, and most of them will tell you it's their therapy. No matter what you're going through, it can be cancer or just other personal issues. When you really turn to plants and tilling the soil, and there's just something so therapeutic and
Absolutely.
relaxing about
Yesterday
it.
morning, I was talking to my orchids, and I
Yes.
thought I was an orchid killer. But the truth is, I'm not.
Right.
It just has to be in the right kind of environment. You have to, it takes attention, it takes
Yeah.
work, right? So you have to just know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't I didn't seek the information before. So of course I was an orchid killer. Now my orchids bloom like no tomorrow.
Nice.
I can so relate
I'm
to
right
what
there
you
with
were
you.
saying, and it's so relaxing.
So
Where
relaxing.
are my questions? Anyone has any questions before we wrap up?
Somebody is
We're just at
asking
about an hour, so we
who
want
is
to
the
wrap up
first person to
shortly.
go to.
Huh?
Somebody is asking who is the first person to go to if you
Oh
have
yes.
a concern.
You wanna take that?
My suggestion would be, I mean, if it's breast related, I would say go to your gynae if you have one. If you don't have a gynecologist, though, your GP is fine.
And I, I want to say it again. Time is of the essence.
Yes.
Anything you find, it can be nothing, because a
Exactly.
lot of women have fibrocystic disease.
Right.
Can be nothing. So sometimes people sit down and worry and fret and stress out themselves over nothing,
Yeah.
because it can be fibrocystic disease. It can be uh, uh, what thing I said she had yesterday again? Was
Assist.
a cyst. It can be a cyst, right? It can be anything. But the thing is, you're not a doctor unless you are a doctor. You're not a doctor. Go on, and even if you are a doctor, you
Yeah,
still need to go and get it checked out,
that's right.
right? Any questions before we wrap up? Anything that you wanted to get out, Tara, that I haven't already asked or we have not already covered? Any part along your journey that you want to share that really made a difference for you?
I think we covered pretty much all the bases, Sandra, but it cannot be emphasized enough for young women, especially, under 40, we are deemed in the 5% of breast cancer cases. However, more and more we're seeing younger and younger women getting diagnosed with breast cancer. And for my pregnant women, if you see changes, do not assume that it is your pregnancy why your breast is acting up. Get it checked. Become body aware and advocate for yourself. Please advocate for yourselves. It could mean the difference between a stage 1 and a stage 4 cancer. Right?
Absolutely. Tarian is asking, what are some of your low days like and how do you pull through?
And the low days are real. And
Yes.
I named myself Warrior Mom because my mindset is I'm fighting for my kids, but not because my strength is perfect. It is not. I have had low days. And all I would say, and if it's a case where you're going through this journey right now as well, I would say to you, give yourself grace. All the emotions that you are feeling, they're all valid. If you're angry, it is so valid. If you are depressed, it is valid. But do not stay there too long. Don't wallow. You have to get up out of that self-pity. Get up and press on and use people like Sandra as inspiration. It's been 22 years and she's fabulous if you ask me. So just find positive people to surround yourself with. L- Block it out. Block out negativity. Block out the whole heap of opinions. People coming to you telling you about who this and who that and who did that. You don't need that. You have to manage your circle. And as I tell you what I did early, I created a broadcast group, 1 and 2, and I was not afraid to say, do not call me right now, or I'll tell you when I'm ready to talk. And if you need therapy, you get therapy.
Absolutely. Um, Sharon is asking, and I believe the answer is yes. She says, is there a genetic test to know if you are predisposed?
Yes.
Do we really have to wait for a symptom? I think the BRCA test,
Right.
you have
So
to,
yes,
right.
so you what you do is a genetic mutation profile. So you're and that's the thing. As I said to Sandra earlier, you're counseled prior to doing it, because when you send that saliva sample overseas, it can open a whole can of worms for you, and things that you never expect to get back, you end up getting it back. So you are walked through the process and you send your sample overseas, and then it comes back showing what genetic mutation you have and which cancers they're linked to, etc. So it is
Right.
done here, and the cost is about 500 US.
Okay. That was what I was going to ask.
Hmm.
If you have any idea what the cost is. Um, any other questions? Going. Um, Thank you, Soho. Yes, I'm a warrior queen. I know the test. She's saying that going for the test is nerve wracking.
It is.
But it is nerve wracking. It is, and that's why we have sister friends to go with us, to sit
Right.
with us, to have a conversation. Or what you do, you take your music with your little your iPad or whatever, and you play your music whilst waiting to see the doctor. But I find it's always more relaxing if you have someone that you can talk to make the time pass.
Right.
Or if you are an avid reader, you can read. But the thing is, you must go. You must go because early
Detection
detection
save
saves
life.
lives. It does,
Yeah.
right? And even as we spoke to Dr. Alexander yesterday, even at stage 4, you still can survive. It's not a death sentence. But as Dr. Um,
Rogers.
Roberts.
Robert,
Robert
the,
said
the difference
yesterday,
in cost.
the cost is the difference.
Mhm. Yeah.
The difference to treat a stage 0 to 2 is completely like a baby compared to the 3 and especially the 4. So that's why you want to go in and get tested early. If you have it in your family, you're high risk. What is high risk? High risk is obesity. I didn't even know that my profession was high risk because we use a lot of sprays, a lot of products. They said cosmetology, barbering, that kind of thing is high risk, right?
Mhm.
So if you have it in your family, meaning your immediate family, mother, sister, high risk,
Great.
right? So these are some of the things, and read up about it. Read up about it because we can't give you all the information here online, although we would love to. But you know, for everybody, it's a different scenario, a
Mhm.
different situation, a different symptom, right? So it's just up to you to be proactive. What is your term you use? Be your work, be your own
Advocate.
advocate,
Advocate for
right?
yourself. Mhm.
Advocate for yourself. If you know deep in your stomach that something don't feel right, explore it. Even if you go and you go to the doctor and the mammogram come, because as you can see, well, for persons who were on the program last night, because we have a breast cancer survivor group, Jamaica Reach to Recovery, which has many survivors, right? A lot, many persons get back negative results, and
Mhm.
then further down the road, it's actually positive. The doctor spoke to it, right? And so that's why you have to be proactive and vigilant and do your self checks and check for any lump bump. If you're bathing, it's the easiest time to do it because you know the skin is soapy, so your hand runs smoothly over your breast, over your chest area, over your
Mhm.
around the neck, underneath your armpit. Don't forget your armpit, right?
Yes.
And so you just be very, very vigilant. Life nice, right? Life sweet. We don't want you to go anywhere. So that's why we spend the time. I circulate all these. I find these warriors who have their story to tell, and I bring them to you because we want to let you know that we are here surviving in spite of. And it doesn't mean we don't have the down days, but we have plenty of days, right? It doesn't mean that from time to time you don't get down, but you manage it. So fear is real. We are human. Breast cancer, though, is also real. So you have to manage your health, eat right, try as best as possible to have balanced meals. They say your plate must be colorful, lots of fruits and vegetables, cut down or cut out if possible. The sugars, sugar loves cancer, or cancer
Loves.
loves sugar,
Mhm.
right? And so these are some of the things that you have to manage. The weight is a struggle sometimes because I love food, but I also exercise. I go up and I come down. But I'm trying. I'm not perfect, right? I try my best to stay as best as possible, exercising, eating balanced meals. I have not cut out red meat. I still have, I don't eat beef a lot. I have cut down significantly, but the curry, God, curry, God, is a challenge.
Chicken
But
is my challenge
yeah,
for
the
the
curry,
life of me. Like,
but we're going.
yeah,
You
we're
know, everything
trying our
in
best. I have it once a week.
moderation. The thing
Yeah,
is moderation,
yeah.
right? So, oh, and says please to Sandra, email please. Need to ask some questions. You can email me at samuelsandra@hotmail.com. That's SAMUELSSANDRA @hotmail.com. And I will give it. Or you can right here on my Facebook page, you can send me a note or inbox me and I respond to you immediately and I can give you my number. Once you inbox me, we can have a conversation. I'll give you my number and we can have a full conversation and I direct your path. There is a breast cancer group called Jamaica Reach to Recovery. They meet every second Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. I believe now it's online. They do have a page, so you can go to their Facebook page. You can probably possibly leave a message there and we'll pick it up. Okay? And they are located at 16 Lady Musgrave Road, and it's the same building as the Jamaica Cancer Society. So thank you so much, Tara. It was fantastic. Your story was very encouraging because what could have been a terrible situation, you came out of it wonderful and surviving and very positive and happy. And you have your two special little boys that you just love. Your husband, I must applaud him because he's very supportive. Not all men are. Let us get that straight out there. Some are, some aren't, and we say kudos to those who are, and we pray for those who aren't, right? Because cancer is a family thing. It's not a I, it's a we, especially when the mother of the family is affected. It
Right.
affects the entire family, right? And so I just want to say thank you, bless you, warrior mom. I
Thank you
wish
so
you
much.
excellent health and all the strength to continue to fight, to continue to be healthy and well. And I
Thank
continue to
you.
pray for you. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
joining
much.
me. Thank you for saying yes to Boss Lady Life.
Thank you.
Next week, same time, 8 p.m. Jamaica time, on Boss Lady Live, we'll be having Carolyn Boyd. She is a pediatrician and we'll be talking about kids and health, right? So please join me next week because I know you probably will have a lot of questions um, then as well. So join me next week at 8 p.m. sharp Jamaica time. Have a good week. It's Monday. Have a fantastic week. Take care of yourself. Be safe on the road. COVID's still a keep. So make sure social distancing. You have not gone out and have had well, if that's your choice, you have not gone out and have had your vax yet. Make sure you go and have your vax. I'm not saying anything about anti-vaxxers. It's your choice. I have had my vaccination because I read, I'm following the science.
Right.
So that's it. So thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Take
Thank
care.
you, Tara. See you again.
Bye.
Bless you.